Well, yeah, that's a good word. He is.
I remember him. I remember Cliff Richard from 20 years ago.
You do?
I sure.
That's good for someone that's only 23.
Not bad, huh? But I do. Yeah. When I remember his songs from the 60s. But he is still going strong, isn't he? Especially in Europe.
He really is. For 25 years, Cliff Richard has literally been one of the biggest popular music stars of his generation. Yet he has only had limited success in this country, which is another phenomenon. However, that may be changing since the first time we ran this story, we've received more mail relating to Cliff Richard than any other singular artist we've done a story on. Here's Cliff Richard. Which is his 25th year under the spotlight in the music business, with over 70 British hit singles and numerous gold records. Cliff Richard still sounds as current today as he did when his first hit single, Move It, was released back in 1958. Richard, not Richards, was born in Lucknow, India, moving to England with his family at the age of 8. In his mid-teens, he became interested in music, and following that first hit in the mid-50s, he has remained at the forefront of popular music and become an international star. In the mid-60s, after some real soul-searching, Cliff Richard sent shockwaves across the pop music world when he announced that he had made a personal commitment to Jesus Christ. He backed it up by making a personal appearance at a Billy Graham crusade in London.
I think that I first met him at the Earl's Court when he came to the meeting one night to sing. And I remember meeting him at the door and the great crowd of people that surrounded him, and I was absolutely amazed at all these young people that were screaming and yelling and trying to touch him and so forth. They don't do that to me.
Yes, it is his land.
In the years that followed, Cliff made 2 films for Billy Graham, Two a Penny and His Land. Recently, we traveled to Shepperton Studios, just outside London, where we found Cliff with the ever-present adoring fans rehearsing for an upcoming tour of Great Britain with Sheila Walsh.
You're busy. Yeah. I thought when I hit the age of 40, things would slow down, but in point of fact, it's accelerated. I've never worked so hard in my life.
Yeah, but you're not 40, are you?
Well, let's not, well, yes.
You want to give away your age?
Oh, listen, I don't mind.
I think we're about the same age, actually. We'll look at these tapes
We were
afterwards.
a good generation. Stayers.
Past tense?
No, I still am. I don't know about you. You can speak for yourself.
I know, it's good. Do you have any problem marrying your beliefs in Christianity and rock and roll?
Not really, because first of all, I just decided that my newfound faith when I first became a Christian was all important, that nothing else really counted as much. In other words, I didn't try and bring anything together. It was, you know, sometimes when you're a young Christian, there are things that are really too difficult to do. And to try and bring together my career with my newfound exciting faith was an impossibility. All I did was say that my priority was going to be my walk and my growth in the Lord.
Rock and roll and God work together in the hands of someone who loves them both.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, that's true. In fact, that was a review for one of my gospel shows. And I don't know about the States, but here people were very, very cynical about rock and roll and about Christianity going together. But I plodded on because I believed that what I was doing was right. And then I received that review for one of my shows, and I thought that really if there was an epitaph to be left, it would be great to have that on my tombstone. That in point of fact, because I do love them both, as I've already said though, the priority has to be given. I know that nothing comes up to what the Lord has done for me, but I do like rock and roll. He has given us this world to enjoy and be in and feel good with. So, yeah, I mean, I like that statement because it does say a lot for those of us who are attempting to communicate our faith through the only method we know. I mean, the only way I know how to communicate is by singing and speaking via concert platforms.
When I survey the wondrous cross.
This concert platform is Westminster Abbey. His audience, the Prime Minister of Great Britain, Margaret Thatcher. But the song is certainly not rock and roll. On a more personal side of his life, Cliff Richard has never married. There's a statement that Paul makes at one point, and also, and of course, the Lord Jesus does too, about being a eunuch for the kingdom's sake. You think you have a calling to that?
Well,
in a spiritual sense.
certain things have become unimportant to people, like marriage, etc. And I think the Christian comes back and says, but wait a minute, this is something that was given to us by God, and it's really fantastic. But I don't think people respect it enough. The last thing I want is for something like sexual things to be ordinary. Crumbs, it's not ordinary. It's the most wonderful thing. So one has to hold it all in awe and with great respect. And if we do, then we don't take marriage lightly. Then we don't get married because our friends get married. Now, I'm saying that because I did have a band called The Shadows. We, The Shadows and I, were part of European rock and roll history. We were the first to do it here. And they all got married by the time they were 19. Now, the pressure was on, I tell you. Suddenly, I was like a bachelor amongst married men, and I felt out of it. And you seek around, you look around for a girlfriend, you think this is going to be it, you know. But fortunately, even before my Christian life, I was honest enough to say, look, I don't love enough to get married. So I didn't. And I hate to say it, but none of my friends' marriages actually lasted. One of them did.
Do you get lonely?
No. No, I don't get lonely. The one thing I have discovered that marriage is not necessary. You know, I think that when someone's given you a gift...
Don't tell my wife that.
Oh, no, I'm saying it's not
for you.
For me, that's right. It's not necessary for the world. The world seems to think that if you're not married, then you're missing out on something. And I don't know many people that are happier than I am. I mean, they're as happy as me, whether they be married or not. I don't think that's got anything to do with it. I think it is personality. I think it is what you need. I think it is what the Lord calls you to be and what He calls you to do.
One road leads to another. Take my hand, let's walk this road together. Then tell your brother there's just one way. We live to die too long.
What about Cliff Richard under glass all these years? How have you, living such a public lifestyle for 25 years?
Yeah, it's probably the hardest.
Abnormal? Do you feel abnormal?
Oh, sure. I think it's abnormal, but there again, you see, I have been doing it for 25 years, so I've absorbed it now, and it's no more an abnormality. I mean, it is difficult, though, you see, even after all this time, even though you get used to the fact that people look at you when you head into a supermarket, or when you go to a new church, you know, people's heads turn. You know, it doesn't worry me anymore because, of course, I mean, it's natural. If you're going to appear on television, in other words, you're in people's homes, sometimes week after week after week, of course they're going to turn their heads and say, hey, that's the guy we saw on television. But that's what you want, isn't it? That's what I wanted. Quite often we kick against what we actually go for. We go to become famous. We go so we can get recognized. We get recognized, we say, hey, no pictures. It's ridiculous. So I've coped with it in one way, in that I'm willing to accept it. I haven't coped with it in that still it is, I still go out and I still think to myself, I'm on show. The future. Well, the future, what can I say? I mean, I've had so much, it frightens me, really. I keep thinking to myself, I've often spoken to my management group saying, you know, when's it all going to end? How is it all going to end? And why doesn't it end? But again, if the Lord is faithful to me, the least I can do is continue to plow back all that I get given to me. So that if I have this huge audience, which I seem to have around the world, I will continue to perform for them, I will continue to present my faith to them, and until they throw me out, that's what I see for my future. I see a continuation of being what I am in front of them without any shame. I mean, I've always stood out for what I believe to be true and right, and they know it now, and I have a healthy situation in England, certainly, where the rapport between myself and my audience is 100% that. They know exactly when they're coming to see me, what they're going to get, and it's a very happy situation. So my future, I just hope, will continue that way, that doors will continue to open the way they have done, and that I'll be able to be true to my career because I'm being true to my faith.
can't get to heaven by living like this. No, you can't. No, you can't get to heaven on your own.
Cliff Richard really seems to be going strong, doesn't he?
He is.
What do you think about his impact in the United States? Do you think he really will come out here and bowl us over?
As we talk, he is in the United States.
He
Whether
is.
we've been bowled over or not, I don't know. But he is here right now. And we talked a bit about that. In fact, we have had so much mail on this, and I'm not exaggerating it. We are going to respond to all those cards and letters, folks, and we're going to do part 2 of this interview next week.
All right.
And we'll talk about some of that, yeah. And
good.
the fact the United States has not seemed to be the great success that he's seen in the other parts of the world.
Interesting to know why. Well, we'll know why more next
Perhaps
week.
we will, Danuta.
Yeah. Thanks, Scott.
Okay.